we knew we had to have the one thing I hate more than anything else, processes. We had to take the time to do it the right way because Marvin didn't have calling experience. Marvin didn't have insurance experience, and Marvin needed to learn from somebody. So we took the time to build out a video-based knowledge base one time so that when we brought Marvin on, he could spend his first several weeks learning what we wanted him to do. I built that into the process. I think that agencies who have had bad experiences with virtual assistants
Only 2 minutes.
didn't set them up for success from the beginning because it's time consuming. And none of us really have the time to do that. But I knew that if Marvin didn't work out and I needed to have another VA come in, I didn't want to have to train them in person again, so it was easier to bite the bullet and build the knowledge base. We have a VoIP system, like most everybody these days. All of our calls are recorded. All of our calls are attached to the contact record in HubSpot. So when Marvin calls somebody, it attaches to the record of that person, and I have the ability to go in and listen to Marvin's calls to hear what it is he's doing. Rule number 2, if you're going to use a VA, you don't let them go for a month with no feedback. You got to listen to what they're doing, and then you have to either coach them on getting better or congratulate them on doing a good job. By the way, here's a pro tip. People from the Philippines are extremely literal. They do not speak sarcasm at all. If I told Marvin to take his clothes off, put on a football helmet, and dance in my parking lot, if I looked out my window, that's what he would be doing. Okay? Keep that in mind because it gets me in trouble. So we went through and we taught Marvin the whole process. All we want him doing is introducing himself, saying, hey, we know your workers' comp is coming up in the next 60 to 90 days. This is probably the time you're taking meetings. We just wanted to get on your calendar. What's the best time for us to come and meet with you? Nothing crafty. Guess what, people? It works. Why does it work? Because we have trained people that's what they should expect. My favorite time to call on a prospect is a month after they renewed. I know that if I can get into a middle market company a month after they renewed, my likelihood of closing that is in the high 90%. Why? Because if anybody's willing to meet with you a month after renewal, they had a really bad experience. What else do they have? They have all their loss runs. The data's still credible. They don't have to go to their agent and get it. Now I'm flying under his radar for 9 months or her radar for 9 months. They don't even know I'm in there. But that's a very difficult meeting to get. So we went the appointment route. Business owners are used to people calling them 60 to 90 days before renewal because we've trained them to do that. So instead of me trying to be flashy and different, I embraced that and said, we'll differentiate ourselves when it's time to present the value proposition and the messaging. Otherwise, we'll play by the same rules as everybody else. He would book the appointment. I created an email called scheduling@floridariskpartners.com, so it looked like we had an official scheduler. And he would create an Outlook invite from the scheduling address. He would invite me or whoever he was booking the appointment for and the prospect. Marvin started booking 5, 10 appointments a week. There were times he booked 10 in one day. Then it came time for the meetings. 50% of the people weren't there. That's a problem. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't have this problem when I book meetings. What did we teach him to do differently that I'm not doing personally? And I found out it was the fact that we had him doing the appointments in Outlook. If anybody gets to me, they have either used my HubSpot link to schedule time that's in my email signature for Florida Risk or my Calendly link for Killing Commercial. That's the only 2 ways you can get on my calendar. But what's different about that? They get a reminder the day before, they get a reminder the morning of, that they have to reconfirm their attendance, and they get a reminder an hour before the meeting. Marvin immediately started using our HubSpot links to book the appointments, And since then, maybe 1 out of every 10 doesn't show up. And if that's the case, usually it's something happened. And many times they email us ahead of time because they get the confirming the appointment. My time's valuable. I don't have time for time to be taken off my calendar for nothing. I mean, that's a lost revenue opportunity for me that somebody else could have had that time, and this person didn't execute. So we made that change. Currently, he's booking roughly 10, 15 appointments a week across all of our producers on a consistent basis, day in, day out. Every 2 weeks, every Friday, I spend an hour in HubSpot listening to everybody's calls. Not because I'm Big Brother. I don't micromanage at all. I'm probably the exact opposite of a micromanager. My agency would be much bigger than it is if I was more controlling than what I am, but that's not, I don't like that, and I don't want to do that to other people. So every Friday afternoon, I listen, and I offer constructive criticism, tell them what they did good, ask them to do some other things to tweak it. And then I decided, you know what, I really don't have time to deal with Marvin. So I gave it to my number one producer, who's quite frankly much better on the phones than I am and has really good sales experience, and it's my co-host on the podcast. And he started meeting with Marvin every other week. And as we've tweaked everything, he has it dialed in. If you were to listen to a call from him now, you would have no clue he was from the Philippines. When he calls you, his number is my office number because that's how we have the soft phone application set up. And he doesn't have any kind of an accent that you would pick up on. But the most important thing is he's 100% fluent in his messaging, and he understands now how to overcome the objections that he would run into as a result of making so many phone calls. So I'd recommend that if you don't have the time to do that stuff, that's an option that you can look at.